these are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes on a Fun Friday. And you saw the intro. That simply means that we've got our girl in with us. We've got Jenny Lovel. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Belize.
I've got to say, Jenny, you're looking so lovely as per usual. Even though from afar, your energy is just beautiful. And we want to thank you so very much for that.
Thank you.
So Jenny,
appreciate you guys.
I think our topic for today is definitely a very important one, and it's about getting how do I put it, Mar? Getting used to each other, or getting to love each other much more, especially in a time of a pandemic. That's where we're going for today, and we know how important that is, and how families are battling at this particular point, Jen.
Yes, and they are battling.
Yeah.
That's the really sad thing. We're used to the kids going to school, and somebody's going out to work, and mom gets to stay home and cook, or she goes out to work too. But now everybody is at home together, and the media calls it COVID fatigue, right? Because folks are just not getting along. I'm concerned with all the babies being born, we're still going to have people who are going to probably be separated unless we learn how to get along. And so far, I know the little intro, what you call it, my cover sounds a little trite, but I'm serious. Why can't we all just get along? Let's learn some techniques.
So let's dive into what's happening here. We're all adjusting to this incredible change that no one could have anticipated, where the things that you can do are restricted. You're spending more time at home, you're working from home, the kids are home. There's a concern about finances collectively, and all these changes just kind of being dumped on top of each other. So naturally, I guess that's gonna cause conflict between people.
Yes, and we're a little intolerant because there's no space, right? Yeah. And I keep encouraging folks to get out, go walk. Go walk as a family. Yeah. Find things to do that will build up dopamine and serotonin in your system.
Yeah.
So go out and walk. Watch some funny movies. Do things together that bring you together rather than tear you apart. And so that's one of the main things, is to get out and go do things together. Wear your mask and go as a family and go walk. That's so important. Dance. Turn on some music. YouTube has all kinds of things. Go dance. But do other things. Do extraordinary things to keep yourselves together without fighting.
So what are the stories that you're hearing? Is this something that people are contacting you a lot about?
Yes. And I'm sure every counselor in the country is seeing people, and there's just miscommunication, there are fights. And honestly, it's to be expected, because if you're living together and you're not used to being there all day long, every day, people can't handle it. And so we need to show them some things to do, some things point out some things that they're doing, or other people I'm sure are doing the same things, and let's see if that helps. No?
You use a very.
But, I'll give you some examples of stuff. The domestic violence is definitely on the increase. Because people get tired of hearing the same things over and over, and they just go over the edge and fly off the handle, and the hands start flying. And that's one of the things you don't want to ever do, is to hit. Because once you hit, then you've gone into a whole new arena. So it's best if we learn how to talk, or learn how to not do some of the things that create more tension.
Jenny, I know that we've got our slides and we want to get into them, but you used a very important word, a word that it's tough. The word is miscommunication. And I'd like to ask you, how do we miscommunicate in the house? Or what causes miscommunication within the household?
Ego. The first one is ego, because somebody feels that they have to be right and nobody wants to give in. And when you have two people who feel like they're both right and nobody wants to give in and say, okay, let's step back a minute. That can escalate very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. Or you have folks in the home where they refuse to talk to each other and they go to bed angry. And that's one of the things, remember growing up, they always tell you, never go to bed angry. And there's a reason for that. If you're angry, your body has built up a lot of cortisol, all the stress hormones in your stomach. Mm-hmm. And so you go to sleep with that. Can you imagine? I mean, what all kinds of things that's happening in your body overnight? Yeah. And so it's very, very unhealthy to go to bed angry. Yeah. So it's really important. That's one of the first things is to make sure that before you go to bed, and it's in the slides, so I'll just talk about it. Yeah. It's really important to agree to disagree. Because, everybody says agree to disagree. Well, honestly, it's really important to table it and say, okay, we'll pick this up in the morning, but right now, let's just hug up and kiss and go sleep happy, right? And how do you do that when I'm angry with you? You've got to put the ego aside and it's okay to not be right or to win the argument right now, so that you can both go to sleep without having all that stuff on your chest, in your stomach, and get all the problems that accompany that later on.
Wow. So every fight or argument doesn't need to end with you're right or you're wrong.
You're wrong, yeah. And it's okay to disagree. It's okay. Just don't be disrespectful while you're disagreeing with me. Yeah. You know? I mean, we disagree. We can agree to disagree. You say your point is taken. I understand your point, but I also like you to hear my point. And I think that's where the problem comes in, is that one person needs to be right, and that's the ego. Yeah. That is the ego. I've got to be right, and you're wrong. Yeah. And it's breaking up families. Breaking up families. It makes no sense.
But some of the
conflicts... Let's agree to disagree respectfully.
But some of the conflicts go deeper than... I don't want to say deeper, but some of the conflicts are more difficult to resolve. Let's look at one of the things that we know is happening in a lot of households. Maybe not all. Yes. You have both parents at home and you have the children at home. And both maybe had full-time work and are working full-time from home. And then you have the children and their schoolwork, which as much as the teachers are doing their part to create and contribute and assist, someone has to be there with them and work with them. And so all that responsibility very often falls on the mother's shoulder.
The mother.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're not dads out there doing their part before anyone says, but let's use a general situation where typically it's seen as the mother's role. When there's no shared responsibility, and then you add in domestic responsibilities, who's cooking, who's cleaning, who's taking care of the kids outside of schoolwork, and there's just this imbalance that's taking place. And I find when I talk to people that that's a lot of the challenges that they're having, that it is so much to do and it doesn't feel fair.
And then you add that quarrels. You add to that, I'm mad at you because it's not fair that I'm taking up all the responsibility. Yeah. Now you've added something else into the mix.
Yeah. Right? So what if the conflict is based on something like that? Like, going to bed and saying we disagree may not be enough. It has to be solved.
No, it can't. Sometimes it can't be solved by the time you go to sleep. Okay. Yeah. But are you going to go to bed angry with each other and create something else that's going to affect both of you? Yeah. Because seriously, the stress hormones build up in your stomach. You get gastrointestinal problems. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things that come as a result of going to bed angry. Yeah. Lots of physical problems, emotional problems. I mean, when you can table it and say, okay, I'm really angry with you. We have to talk about this some more, but let's put it aside for tonight. Partner says, well, I'm not done with that yet. Well, are we going to stay up all night and argue? Can we just respect each other and table it until tomorrow? their main idea is not to go to bed.
I love that John and I are just silent.
No, because what she's saying is realistically what's going on in a lot of households in terms of how to resolve this problem. And you guys are right. Sometimes it might not take a minute or two to resolve a problem. It needs probably a few days. It needs a discussion, but it's what you carry out or how you carry out that discussion, Jen.
Yes.
So if this has been something difficult for people to do, how do we get there? If we are in paying attention and we see, okay, well, we shouldn't go to bed angry. We need to agree. And I like that. Table it. It's not that we're going to leave this and pretend tomorrow is fine. Yeah. We're going to pick it back up and try to get some resolution to it. But how do you reach that point if you've never been able to do it before?
First of all, people are together because they love each other, I hope. If you love each other, you've got to set the ego aside. The ego meaning, I have to be right. I have to be right and you're wrong. I can't listen to what you're saying because you're not carrying your share of the burden. You're not helping me. And again, we're going outside and we're pointing fingers. Okay, so let's look at inside. Let's look back at me. Okay, so what am I doing to try to help with this situation? Well, I'm carrying all the load. You're not doing anything to help me. And I need more help in this house. And you take all of that to bed and go sleep with it? You're not going to sleep?
Yeah.
You will lie there stewing in your anger. And that person over there is going to go to sleep because he has to leave and go to work or whatever happens tomorrow. So why can't you agree to table it till tomorrow and you talk about it? After a good night's sleep, you see things differently, you feel differently, you're able to discuss a little better.
You've got the
and
energy.
I know people are looking and going, you must be crazy. Nobody can go to sleep if you're all upset with one another. That's the ego, the need to be right.
But how important is it that you both get there? Because maybe, one person says, okay, well, we'll deal with this tomorrow. And the other's just saying, well, no, we got to finish.
Yeah, which is most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I was going to say, right?
And then the other party says, well, why should I have to give in again? I'm always the one giving in.
And then there you are again.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then what happens? Somewhere down the line, very soon, someone's having anxiety attacks, or they can't sleep because they're all upset, they're all stressed out because they don't know where their husband, their partner is, because that person gets tired of all the arguments and quarreling and they start leaving.
Yeah.
What did you resolve? What did you get out of that? When you could have sat and said, okay, let's table this and let's talk about it respectfully.
That's right.
Yeah.
You notice I'm saying the words respectfully, because when we get angry, we don't want to be respectful. We want to call names and say things and bring up all kinds of things from 10 years ago.
I know.
It's so we've got to have healthy arguments. I'm not saying don't argue, but it's got to be healthy. It's got to be respectful.
This morning we were discussing in the eye-opener about celebrating happiness. Celebrating happiness or the happiness of others requires generosity of spirit that we often find only in the process. And I feel that one of the processes or one thing families can celebrate is actually how to lessen the conflict within their household, Jen.
Oh, that is so important.
Yes.
That is so important.
Yes.
Half of the clients that I see, I'd be out of work. No, more than half. It's about conflict. It's about conflict, and it's about people. We stop respecting each other. It just becomes down again. And I keep saying the ego because that's what it is.
Yeah.
I've got to be right, and you're wrong.
I want to bring up.
I want to admit that you're wrong.
I want to touch one more thing here, and like we mentioned, we want to stick within the slides. Very important. But we're talking about the household and how we could lessen that conflict within the household. I think one of the things that's going on right now, especially among parents, but it derives from this: the children are not in school. The children are actually given work to do at home. So now the parent must be the teacher. One parent might not like how one parent is taking care of the teachings, and vice versa. That, Jen, creates a conflict. How do we resolve that?
Go help. If you don't like how that parent is doing it, go help. or or take it over. You don't like how I'm doing it? You take it over for a while. And the other party, okay,
it's
on as well. Okay, now you're trying
to
to
jump in and do the work.
it creates genuine conflict. Look, I'll tell you what,
yes, it does.
And this
but
is another.
Aaron. The thing is,
serious now.
is if you are saying, well, I don't like the way how you're passing on this information. If you know how to do better, take it over and help. Or both of you just look at it, help the other parent on how to teach the child. Or you do it for a while. Maybe you are better at that.
Yeah.
I am sure I'm not gonna be angry if you come and help and you decide to do this because maybe I don't know how to do that. And that's why you're thinking I'm not doing it correctly. I probably don't know.
But Jen, these things, two heads are always better than one. I continue to see this, and this is a part of goal building, especially for our men, that there's no such thing as women work in the household or no such thing as men work in the household. Now imagine, both parents taking care of business when it comes to education. There might be something that I'm good at, and there might be something that you're good at. And if we meet in the middle and teaching our children the way forward with dealing with the work, then it's a goal.
Yeah.
That's just my
thought. Totally agree.
But let's look at, because we're talking about conflict within families. Let's talk about the challenges of working with the children as well, because that brings conflict too. You know, they maybe aren't as responsive to parents as they would be to teachers. They have all the distractions around, the TV, the tablet, the toys, outside snacks. Which they wouldn't have in a classroom, and that itself is becoming a conflict for parents and children.
The thing is, I'll tell you this. You want to be careful not to spoil the children because we feel bad for them that they're having to do it. Okay? You really want, first of all, you all have to hold one head. You have to both agree, and even if you disagree with something that one parent is maybe implementing for behavior change, you still cannot disagree in front of the children. You have to work together. You have to be one head.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Picnic, call no week Wednesday.
Yes.
So children will take advantage of that. So you've got to hold one head, both of you. Even if you disagree, talk about it later and how we could have done it better and then do it better.
Yeah.
But don't go against the other parent in front of those children. Ever.
Well,
got to be a united front when it comes to discipline, when it comes to how much TV we're going to allow them to have, how much time on the computer, how we're going to help them with the questions that they're asking. Because remember, they're not with their little friends.
Yes.
I mean, the adolescents want to see their little friends, right?
Yeah.
Because that stage of development, they need their peers. And so we have to understand what they're going through too. But we have got to hold one head when it comes to discipline. We don't go against the other one. We decide together how this is going to go. We support each other through that process. Yes? No?
Well,
John is soaking that one in. I mean, that one doesn't apply to me, but John is soaking that one in.
It's a very important thing because there are a lot of parents right now and they're looking on right now because this is a topic that they need to hear. And so therefore, what you mentioned, Jenny, in terms of one straight discipline, it's very important because what we do as parents is that we try to side with our children. And that is, and this is one of the things that create one of the biggest conflict within the household. Because the child, like you mentioned, call no week fence day. It's reality. Yep. It's reality, Jen.
Yep.
But anyways, let's move on with our slide.
But that's a critical point.
Yes.
When you're doing discipline, both of you have to support the other. You can't have any breaks in that fence. If mom says that the children are only going to be on the tablets for 1 hour a day, except outside of school hours. Both parents, you can't come and say, when I tell her hand the crime and throw your phone to her. No. No, you can't do that. I don't care if you are getting a little distracted and upset because the child is crying or demanding to have more time. Mom said no. 1 hour, you have got to be right there reinforcing what she says. You cannot go against that, because then the children, one, you're sending a conflicting message to the children, and two, they're going to they're going to know which parent to go and suck up to.
Yeah.
Against the other partner, the other parent. You get
Which
me?
is just a recipe for more conflict.
That's more.
More conflict, big conflict. Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna support me. You're not do anything to help me, and you're coming, and I set rules, and then you come in here and you want to set more rules, and the children not listen to me. They only want to listen to you. Okay.
You see, after you say that, Jen, a lot of people are saying that's exactly how you sung.
Yeah. Any other tips though? So we're talking about ensuring that you recognize that all the circumstances around will very much lend to conflict building up, especially within relationships and within households. So we're talking about being able to acknowledge, one, you don't have to resolve it by the end of the day before you put your head on your pillow. So that's step one. How do you pick it up the next day?
The next day, well, get up and do breakfast and do the things that you want to do, and say, okay, we need to finish what we were discussing yesterday, because it's important to me and I don't want us to have quarrels. So can we start talking about that? Set time aside, no name calling, no cursing. Sit and have a discussion, have an adult discussion.
Yeah.
Okay? Very important. Get up the next day. Once people start yelling, that's somebody getting out of control, that's being disrespectful. Remember, we said, to not get into any conflicts, we agree to disagree on things, but do it respectfully.
Yeah.
If we're having a conflict, let's try to do it respectfully. No name calling, no hitting, none of the other things that go along with somebody escalating and acting like a child. Okay? And some of us, emotionally, because we grew up in homes where we did not see healthy resolution of conflict, we just jump right back to the age group there. And some of us start acting like 5-year-olds, stomping our feet, stomping out of the room. What does that resolve? Really important to sit together and decide, okay, these are the rules that we're going to talk, how we're going to discuss this.
Yeah.
No name calling, bring up the kitchen sink to go and how things from 10 years ago and bring it into this argument or this discussion. And don't think about it like an argument. It's a discussion.
I've got a question, Jenny. So if you were allowing for somebody to speak how they feel, I know we've got the slide up, but if you're allowing somebody to speak how they feel, say what they feel to try and resolve a conflict, do you accept obscenity?
Accept what?
Obscenity. Obscene language.
Obscenities.
Yes.
Why do you need to bring obscenities into it? It's for me, it's kind of disrespectful when you have to resolve, when you have the whole English language that you can use. You have to sink down to obscenities. We can talk. There's a whole English language.
What if
you can choose words from?
And what if the answer is that's how I speak when I want to express myself?
Well, if your wife is okay with that, then that's how you express yourself, as long as you don't raise your voice.
Yeah.
You don't start shouting at me. Go ahead and use your obscenity then. But don't raise your voice, don't shout at me, and don't call me an obscenity.
Yeah.
Don't make it personal to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll accept that. If that's the only way you know how to express yourself.
If that's the adjectives you use, but don't use the adjective on me.
And I'll make it into a noun.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of things that I have in my slides,
Yeah. So this one I love. And this one, I think we're all guilty of. You always or you never. Yeah. Or I always and I never.
Yeah.
And when people say that when people say that, I always challenge and I go, you mean he never, ever, ever, in the entire time you guys have been together, he never once did that particular thing? You go, well, no, it don't do it, it don't do it sometimes. Well, then why are you saying he never? Never is such a long time. Can you please remember the times when he did or when she did? Please try to remember those. Yeah, you're right. And he always tell me this and he always tell me that. Really? You mean when you were courting, he didn't do these things for you? Oh yeah, he did, and then he's done it recently too. So why are you saying always? Always is so fine. It's just like all the time. Every breath you take, you hear him saying this to you. So let's be generous and let's be careful not to use those two words, especially in a conflict. It's demeaning. It dismisses the person. It doesn't come from a place of love, and it's so important to come from a place of love, even if you're having a disagreement. Okay.
Well,
I know that's a tough one, right? I think it's just in the moment that you get to the always and never.
Catch yourself saying it and stop, because I'm serious. No person is always doing something or has never done something, because that is the reason you're with the person, because they have done that. Maybe they're forgetting because of the conflict. You remind them, sweetheart, remember when you used to do this? I'd really like it if you did that again. I love when you do that. You catch so many more flies with honey than you do with fire and smoke. All
right.
I hear you.
I don't know if we have time. I don't mind keeping up with slides, because this was a really, really great discussion.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because as you pointed out, a lot of people are seeking out help from mental health therapists, and a lot of it is it has to do with conflict. It's a tough time, and not everyone is able to maneuver themselves through it without getting some additional skills or tips to feel in a better headspace.
Yeah, we a minute ago we were just talking about the kitchen sink. This is a really important one.
Okay.
When you're having a healthy argument, and that's healthy. Having an argument, you're back and forth, you're talking about stuff. As long as you don't call names, you don't use the always or never, and you don't bring in things that are not from this discussion we're having. You go back and you say, well, you remember when 10 years ago you made this and this and this, and and I go back and I bring things from way back that we had resolved and bring it into this. That means that they're record keeping, they're score keeping, and they're just tallying up all the stuff in their heads and bringing it to this discussion. You know how difficult it is for the other person to beat that when you're bringing in all this other stuff? Please stick with the things right now, so that you don't extend the disagreement we're having. Let's sit down like adults and talk about what it is right now that's affecting us at this moment. And I know it's hard, but we have to commit to doing that. We're stuck together. We're in lockdown. I mean, we're not really in lockdown because now we can stay until 10 o'clock. But
no, I think
the children are still at home, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well,
and then, one more thing. Please don't have your fights in front of the children. Okay? Don't do it in front of the children. Have them go out and play and have your discussion.
Have a
Okay,
discussion.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, I'm not sure if we have any other things to touch, but I'll tell you what. The reason why I found especially today's conversation very important is because it's realistically happening in the household as we speak.
Yes.
And when it comes to resolving conflict, these the points that we just made mention of are very important to try and ease things throughout the household.
Yes.
And you know what? I also want to say to people who are watching right now, because oftentimes these type of things happen in your house. You may think it's just you who's having this tough time. This is an opportunity for you to realize that it's not just in your home. It's not just in your relationships. A lot of people are struggling with this. And here's the thing. We never learned these skills. We never learned how to resolve conflicts maturely and properly. So this is the opportunity to take some of these skills and put them into practice one by one, right?
Yep.
And that's why we have Jenny, and we're glad that she joins us every 2 weeks so that we can learn all these skills that somehow got lost in our training as we grew up.
I tell you.
Yeah.
All right, Jen.
The information, you guys post this, right?
Yes, yes. We'll
Yeah,
put
so
it on.
there's more information there. We can pick it up next time we meet.
Yes.
But they can go and read the stuff and look at. I put little quotes on there. I made it very colorful so that folks can go find the information. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Jen, thank you so very much, and continue to stay beautiful, and wishing you a very great day. Well, we're about to take
guys,
a break.
I love you guys.
We love you too.
Bye-bye.
We're about to take that break, but when we come back, we'll be sliding into topic number 3. We've got 4 for today. So topic number 3, we'll be joined by another entrepreneur. He's the owner of Twisted Mix Bartending. You're going to meet this guy. Very interesting when we come back.
These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.